So now that we're at the beginning of April, it's time for an autumn reset for the new quarter and to settle into the cozy season. Hi there, my name's Mariana. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. So today I thought I would talk about resetting for a new quarter and also for the autumn season. Autumn is about getting cozy and preparing for the upcoming cooler weather. Now, I say that, but it is unseasonably warm in Adelaide for this time of the year. It is going to be about 32 degrees today, so it seems strange that I'm talking about resetting my space for a cozier season. But given that it's also the beginning of a new quarter, I thought it was important that we can revisit a few things that we may have potentially have set ourselves at the beginning, so we can do a little bit of a review of what we had initially intended and where we are right now. And I just think the beginning of a new quarter is such a good time to reset all areas of your life, because you want to go into a new season and a new quarter with a clear space and a clearer mind. So personally for me, what I like to do at the beginning of new season is to reset my home in a way that suits that season. So coming out of summer and into autumn, I like to get into sort of that cozier feeling around my house. And I'm not talking about going out and purchasing a whole bunch of new stuff to reset your space. Remember, we are trying to be more intentional about what we're bringing into our homes and how we're spending our money. Now, for me, because I've cultivated a style that I'm happy with, I have the items that I need and will generally only replace stuff that really needs replacing. And for me as well, once I've packed up at the end of the season and bought out stuff for the new season, when I do go back to the stuff I was using previously, it's always a little bit of a surprise. Oh, I had that. So I'm happy to keep reusing those things because they are things that I've chosen with care and stuff that I really enjoy. Also, at the beginning of a new season, I like to do a little bit of a deeper clean around my home. So things like moving the furniture out in some spots and getting underneath. So for me, at the beginning of the season, because my bed does sit so low, I like to drag that out and make sure I vacuum all underneath and get all those little dust bunnies that could potentially be hiding in all the corners. I like to strip the bed right back and wash everything. Also, given the fact that it is warmer for this time of year, I like to wash as many of my soft furnishings as I can and take advantage of the warmer weather to get everything dry and fresh and ready to be packed away. And a really easy way to reset your home is start by switching out some of your decor. So it could be choosing warmer colors on your throw pillows and in your throw rugs, switching from those sort of linen fabrics to more velvets or boucle fabrics on your throw cushions, and switching out your lighter throw rugs with something a little bit heavier like a nice faux fur. And my home is pretty much black and quite neutral anyway, so my colors don't change as much, but I will probably switch out, the lighter color throws with something that is a little bit heavier in that faux fur, and it'll be in deeper, richer colors just to bring some richness into the room, whereas in the summer months I prefer to keep things as light as possible. I also like to switch out my candles based on the season. Now, I'm not purchasing new candles until I have depleted all the stocks that I currently own, but I do have stuff left over from last autumn and winter that I'll pull out again this year. So I love the mint stone honeysuckle for autumn. It's just got this beautiful scent. It's a bit richer than what I use in summertime and just that slight bit heavier without being overwhelming. Another one that I also love in autumn is the Glasshouse Candles Melbourne Muse, which is a vanilla coffee flower scent, which I think is just beautiful for autumn. And it just makes me feel like warm coffee shops, which is my favorite thing. So that's what I switch my candles out to. I also have different doona covers and sheet sets for the cooler months. So in summer, I tend to go for those more linen fabrics, those lighter fabrics. But in wintertime, I like to switch out things like my cotton sheets to my flannel sheets. I like a heavier doona cover, and the one that I'll be using this autumn is just the light beige with the velvet finish, which is a little bit heavier than the doona cover I use in the summer months, which makes it quite cozy. I have had that for about 2 years, I think now. I purchased that from Adairs. It's such nice quality. And I also love to switch to my flannel sheets. The nights are quite cool, I have to admit. For me, they are anyway. If I'm feeling any cold at all, there is no way I'm sleeping. So I do switch out those things. I also do use a 9 kilo weighted blanket, but that's more in wintertime. And in autumn, I just switch out my cotton sheets to my flannel sheets. I don't use an electric blanket, but I do have a wool blanket that I use in addition to my doona cover. The other thing I like to do in preparation for the cooler months is make sure that my jackets and coats are all clean. Now, generally at the end of winter of the previous year, I'll take them to the dry cleaners, make sure that they're all clean before I pack them away and don't think about them for the next 6 or 7 months. If I haven't done that though, at the beginning of autumn, I will drop them into the dry cleaners to make sure that they are clean. I generally will need to break out my coats a little bit earlier because I catch public transport in the mornings. I really feel the cold, and because I do go to work quite early in the morning, I usually will catch about a 6:30 bus on most days. It's quite cold, so I use my jackets quite early in the season. So I like to make sure they're clean and ready to go as soon as those mornings come in quite cool. Now, I don't need to actually switch over my wardrobe. If you've watched my walk-in robe tour video, which I will link below, you'll see that I've got quite a bit of wardrobe space, so I don't need to switch things out. I can leave my summer, my winter, whatever, transitional items all in my wardrobe 100% of the time. But at the beginning of a new season, I always like to go through and try and declutter a few items, even if it's just, a couple of things that I no longer wear or didn't wear for the entire of the spring summer season, because it's not something that I reach for or something that I love. It might be time to actually eliminate that. And no matter where you are in the world, if you're going into summer now, are there items that in your wardrobe that are winter centric that you weren't wearing, weren't reaching for, no longer love? It might be a time to declutter those items. So again, you're coming into a new quarter and a new part of the year with a clearer mind and a clearer space. So while you're also doing that, it might be a good idea to also do a sweep around the house and see if there's anything else that you can declutter in preparation for a new season and new quarter. Now, with the cooler months, I know what happens. It happens to all of us. We start to look for those comfort foods. So what I like to do at the beginning of the new season is break out the recipe books or look online and find some gut healthy, lighter meals. I don't enjoy heavy, stodgy foods for me, but each to their own. But I don't want to come out of winter wearing my winter coat. You know what I'm saying? So what I like to do is I like to pick out some healthy recipes that I can have on repeat. It's also a good time to do food preparation because it's so easy to freeze things like healthy soups or stews. So that's the stuff that I like to do. I get out my little slow cooker and pre-prepare a few meals, and then I can just portion them out and throw them in the freezer. In winter, we're coming home, it's dark, you might not feel like cooking, and instead of ordering takeaway, you've got something ready to go in the freezer. Defrost it in the microwave if you haven't taken it out in the morning, and you're good to go, and that will save you a little bit of money as well. You just don't want to be making food choices during the winter months by, using the cooler weather as an excuse to choose foods that don't align with what your long-term health goals are. Simple. While we're on the topic of health, now is not the time to abandon your exercise goals or your exercise habits. As we get into the cooler months, we sort of approach that hibernation mode, and it's just so much nicer and cozier to put on a nice tracksuit pants and sit on the couch all wrapped up in our rugs and watch Netflix. I get that. And you know what they say, summer bodies are made in winter, but it's not just about that, to be honest. It's not about grueling workouts. Exercise is such a good way to combat stress and also to reduce the effects of seasonal sadness. If you're anything like me, the winter season does really get to me. So as the months start to cool down, I do really struggle with that. So I find that exercise does help me. So I will continue doing what I'm doing now, which for me is Pilates 3 to 4 times a week. And also I walk Bella every single morning for a minimum of 20 minutes to half an hour, weather permitting, of course. And I've recently purchased a 5 kilo weighted vest, so I've been wearing that on my walks every morning. And on the weekends, Bella and I like to go down to Glenelg and do a beach walk. Again, if it's weather permitting, we usually do about 6 kilometers, and now I wear my weighted vest on that as well. The other thing I am doing, I've just started back doing, because I've been in the last 18 months, I've kind of let it fall off the wayside, but getting back into strength training, because I can see the differences. Not doing strength training has actually affected my anxiety, but also affected the way I look and feel about myself. So go back to what routines that you've set yourself, or maybe it's a good time now to create a new habit of incorporating some exercise for these cooler months. You can download heaps of programs and do them from the comfort of your own home. I purchased, I think, the majority of my weights that I use from either, I bought a weight set and barbell from Rebel Sport for $100, which I've had for a little while now, and my dumbbells, I just get them from Kmart because they're so inexpensive, and they're dumbbells. They do exactly the same thing as what a higher price one does. And I've got the Les Mills app on my TV, so I can go through and pick out programs depending on how much time that I've got, and do some stuff in the afternoon or during the day or whenever. And make sure that you're moving your body every single day. I suffer from arthritis, unfortunately, so I have to make sure that I keep extremely mobile, and that is also what you should be doing. So it's not about grueling workout. It's about mobility, and it's the ultimate form of self-care. Gentle exercise helps you to sleep better. It reduces your waistline, it reduces your cortisol levels, all that good stuff that we need to be doing as we get older and really at any age. So revisit your exercise routines and incorporate that into coming into the new season as well. So, and on to one of my favorite topics, finances. I feel like all I ever talk about is money lately. Not a bad thing, could be annoying to some, but at the beginning of a new quarter, it's a really good time to revisit your finances, download your bank statements or your credit card statements and have a look at your expenses, find out where your money's going. Are there any subscriptions that you're not using, so on and so forth. You've heard all that stuff before a million times. So if you live in Australia and are a mortgage holder, you would know that the RBA have reduced the interest rates. So if you're a mortgage holder, that means you're more than likely would have received a reduced interest rate, which is what happened to me. I received a letter last week to say that the interest rates on my home loan had reduced. So what I did was, instead of just going, okay, yep, that's great, I'm going to have, and it only worked out to about an extra $30 a week. So it's not a huge amount, but it's money that I didn't have before. So look at it as a blessing. Now, I'm speaking from my own point of view, whereby I don't have any dependents and I'm doing okay financially. So I decided, when I received that letter, I gave the bank a call and asked them actually not to reduce my weekly repayments. So instead of dropping down that $30, I will continue to make the same repayments that I'm currently making, because I know it's not going to affect me negatively on a daily basis. So why not just leave it as it is? That will then reduce the amount that I'm paying on the principal in the long run. So if you did receive that interest rate reduction and your mortgage repayments are reducing, now I get it. I get it. If you are currently struggling financially and you need that extra few dollars to make your life easier every week, by all means, you do that. But if you can get by and keep your mortgage repayments the same, I suggest that you do so. I did it because I thought if I have that extra 30 odd dollars going into my savings account, it'll just get absorbed in the day to day and I'll spend it on crap. Probably, what's that, an extra 3 or 4 coffees a week. That's tempting. But I decided not to do that. And I've decided to let that go back into my home loan repayments. And while I was on the phone with the bank, I did restructure some of my savings as well to make sure that it is working better for me in the long run. So while you're on the phone discussing that, have a look at other things that you can do to help you financially moving forward. Alternatively, if you don't want to use that money on your mortgage, but you don't want it to get lost in your everyday spending, you can also consider putting an additional amount into super. And I know what you're going to say. With things the way they are at the moment, everyone's super's taken a hit. But remember, superannuation, like any other investment, is long term. Don't panic about it now. There is no point in panicking about it. Just still keep contributing as you need to. Same with investments. I know a lot of people, they see that the stock market is just going nuts at the moment, so they'll start to panic and start pulling out their investments. I encourage you not to do so. If anything, I encourage you to purchase more investments. Now that everything is a little bit more discounted, you'll get more bang for your buck. And remember, the stock market will recover. As I've said in previous videos, it will recover. It just takes time, but don't panic and pull anything out. Get it now while they're at the discounted rates. That's my personal opinion. The other thing you could do with that additional money that may be coming in from that reduced interest rate is, have you got enough money in your emergency savings account? If not, why not just park it in there? If you've got your emergency funds, which you should have in a high interest savings account, just put the additional money in there, have an auto direct debited straight out of your savings account into your high interest savings account for your emergency fund, and start building on that instead. Again, I'm just blowing it on day to day. That again is if you don't need it. The beginning of a new season and a new quarter is a good time to also reflect on your current routines and habits. Are your routines and habits serving you in a positive way? Are they aligned to your goals and to the person that you're hoping to become by the end of 2025? I know we all set this lofty stuff at the beginning of the year, but statistically, most of our good intentions tend to fall by the wayside by the end of January, mid-February. So now's a good time to really revisit and see if you are still on track to meet the goals that you set yourself at the beginning of the year. And consider, are there any new habits that you're wanting to develop, or old habits that aren't serving you that you want to eliminate? I know what it's like. We get into the cooler months and we just want to hibernate. I know as an introverted homebody, that's all I want to do, but I know that it doesn't serve me by sitting on the couch watching TV. And I have to admit, in the past few weeks, that's exactly what I've been doing. I haven't been working on anything outside of my 9 to 5, and my 5 to 9 has become a bit wasteful for me. So previously, after dinner, I'd sit down with a book, usually something in the finance space or personal development space. But lately, I've let that fall by the wayside and have been indulging in Netflix. Now, I do not want to come into the winter months doing that, because it's just going to develop into a filthy habit that's going to be really hard to break. So are there any habits that you've sort of picked up in the past couple of months that you can now eliminate and move into the new season? I think that routines are important to revisit as we approach the cooler months. It gets so easy to fall into hibernation mode and wrapping yourself up on the couch and just watching Netflix and basically couch rotting. You know, it's cold outside, it's raining. We just want to sit on the couch or stay in bed that little bit longer in the morning because it's cozy and warm. But I know for me that doing that sort of stuff is going to have a detrimental effect on my mental health. So I need to really hone in on positive things that I can do for myself through these winter months or cooler months. Finally, the beginning of a new season is such a good time to reflect on or review the past few months. Are you where you thought that you would be for this time of year? Are you on track to meet the goals that you set for yourself at the beginning of the year by the end of the year? Take some time to think about what went well and what could have gone a little bit better. And is there anything that you can change to make this quarter a little bit better? Don't use the upcoming winter months as an excuse not to do anything and to let your goals just fall away. Now's a good time to really hone in on exactly what it is that you want and move forward and continue to grow until we get to the end of 2025. I hope that you got something out of this video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up, as it does help to push my videos out to more awesome people like yourselves. And also please consider subscribing, as I am really trying to grow my channel and hopefully bringing you content that you enjoy. If there is anything in particular that you would like to hear about from me, please drop me a comment. Alternatively, if there are any tips that you have for approaching the cooler months, please also drop me a comment, as I would love to hear from you, and I know many others would as well. Anyway, that's it from me for today. Until the next one, I hope you all have a fabulous day. Bye.